Hello, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us again for our regular 5 p.m. Pacific time show. We come in every week to take your U.S. immigration questions, give general answers. We can't give individual legal guidance here, but we can give you an idea of what's going on in the system, as confusing as it is. And I know how much help you all need. I'm just trying to understand what is going on, because it is that complicated many times. But we're here to take your questions. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, general education. If you're interested in a marriage, green card, fiance visa, that kind of stuff, we have the guide for you. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, 40 plus pages that walks you through the entire process and give you a decision there, what you want to do and which way you want to go with hiring an attorney or whatever. But it'll give you the data you need to know so you question lawyers with thoughtfulness. And that's the main thing. You want to ask the right questions, not questions that are too generic that you can just find online. It's got all in one place. Now it's 40 pages. You got to read a lot. Not everyone needs all the 40 pages, depends on which path you choose, but check it out. If you want to contact us, go to jqqlaw.com/contact. We have a system there to get you going, and we could take it from there. jqqlaw.com/contact. Again, this is all for general education purposes only, not intended for individual legal guidance. Talking really fast. It's like that fine print that they do. So having said that, we'll wait your questions about immigration is popping on. Hi, Jen. Good to see you. Did I turn it on? I forgot to go live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube and Twitter and all these places. Forgot to turn on Instagram. It's a popular audience there too. So great to see you again, Jordan, Jen as well, Jen Gordon. What I did want to mention, now I'm like, I had the plan of talking about all this legal stuff, but now I'm like, it's going to be too deep or whatever. But the short end of it all is everything's so unreliable in this system. But the court cases are kind of going in the immigration favor, and not in the way that people think about politics, but the way cases are adjudicated by the government and the powers that they have are all over the place and sometimes unfair. And there's been some decisions, especially today, that grants courts the ability to review what the U.S. Immigration Department does, USCIS in particular, when it makes certain decisions. So that's really good. Going into details how that plays out, it's going to affect a lot of people who have hard cases, but there's still a lot to go. I'm debating whether how much I want to get into that or just get into helping practical questions. Okay, so Jen asks, just want to tell you that we actually got our I-130 sent to embassy early from, well, that's good, Jen. I'm glad to hear it. What embassy are you going to be processing your case? Let me know. All right, so I-130s are family cases, probably is a marriage case here. Ambu says, my EB3 visa approval, well, why is the embassy put in administrative processing? That's just what embassies do, unfortunately. And kind of going to the idea of what I talked about earlier of the immigration, the Supreme Court and these courts saying, giving more power to people to challenge what decisions the immigration department makes. That's towards USCIS. There's a big case happening of what the embassies could say, because embassies have a lot of power to make decisions with, frankly, no repercussions or ability to sue on it or complain about it. They have what's called consular non-reviewability. There's a big court case happening for a certain aspect of that. For example, if you're a U.S. citizen and they deny your spouse's visa, whether you have a right to ask why they denied it, and they're keeping secrets on that kind of stuff. And then there's a statute that doesn't get cited in the court case. I don't know why. It's INA 212 B. Is it B1? Yeah, B1 or something like that. Or B1B or something like that. I don't get too technical, sorry. But nonetheless, it's all mess. But there's some headwinds that are positive coming. But we'll see next year with elections what happens. That could be a go the other direction. Lauren Jabbers wanted to talk to us for a while. My question is my co-sponsor's taxes aren't ready until July. So is it okay if my fiance takes 22 taxes to interview? Yeah, well, we do. First of all, if it's going July, you probably want to have an explanation or evidence that you request an extension of the tax paperwork for July. Secondly, you could bring your 22 taxes as what it is. I prefer you have your tax transcripts as well from the IRS. You could download those. Third thing is you want to show proof that the co-sponsor is working. So even though they don't have filed taxes, they are making income. So, for example, if they're a W-2 employee, we want to get their 2022 W-2 to show they earned the money in 2022, but also more recent pay stubs to show they're continuously making money. So we rewrap these all together when we have these kind of scenarios and it works. You might still get an RFE for the actual tax return later for 2023. Unlikely if you document it well. And it depends on what kind of income the joint sponsor has. If they're self-employed or if it's 1099 income, that gets more complicated. But if they're like like just 9 to 5 kind of job, get a paycheck, that makes it much easier for the government to understand. Though I know you want to ask that question, but that's a full answer right there. But again, this is all educational purposes, not individual legal guidance. So Jen asks, I just want to tell you that our petition is now at the NBC ahead of processing time after I-24, and we are going through Benin consulate. Well, that's really good news. I-24 is a major nightmare, and I'm glad it's going there, and hopefully Benin won't be too bad. I'm cautiously optimistic, but it doesn't look good. Maybe not the most fastest embassy, but you never know. Random stuff embassies, I think, are going to take a while, go pretty fast. So who knows? Adu says, good afternoon, same to you. Paula says, I filed my I-751 joint and I got denied, but now I'm divorced. Should I refile I-751? You need to talk with a couple of immigration attorneys as soon as possible. A denied I-751 is a very dangerous thing, especially if you don't refile one because they go to immigration court and you put a removal if you haven't already. You need to check your alien number online. Make sure your address has been updated with USCIS. That's a major thing, Paulo. So you need to start contacting immigration lawyers and schedule consults ASAP on that scenario. The I-751 phase and you get divorced, one of the trickiest issues to deal with because of the way the system's designed. Selena asked my husband, by the way, if you're all on TikTok and other apps, I give primary answers to people on YouTube because they don't ask the same question a million times like on TikTok. And it's easier for me to read it anyways because of the system that I have. So if you really want to try to get your things in front of me, follow us live on YouTube, US Immigration Talk or JQK Law. That's the place to go. And we're here. And also in clips too. Thanks for joining, Joe. I appreciate that. So we have different YouTube channels. We have the clip channel. We don't update the clip channel, frankly, but it's there. Selena says, my husband and I went to USCIS interview today. Basically, obviously, our case is thin just because we don't live together. How we have 7 years. How we have been. Selena, if you don't live together, you got to talk to the immigration lawyer way ahead of time. At this point, it's like you created the mess because now you're going to go into investigations potentially. That's going to be 3 years of being stuck. So, but it's possible we have clients who get approved not living together, but you got to document and explain it. I'm not sure what happened there. It's unfortunate. That could potentially lead to years of hassle to try to get the green card now. Lauren follows up. The co-sponsor owns a business. It gave me all his taxes, but no transcripts. So I asked him to get his personal tax transcripts if possible, especially if you're dealing with the U.S. Embassy. They prefer that. And you got to see, as a business owner, are they taking a W-2 and income? So it gets, Lauren, it gets complicated. You really should have a lawyer on this. But it's not impossible, but it gets complicated. You're welcome, Paulo. Selena says, we explained why we don't live together because I'm doing school in another state. But the officer wasn't trying to hear anything at all. I'm sorry to hear that. We typically have these cases approved when you're studying in another state. It's bad luck sometimes with the officers. But that's when you turn around, you got to try to complain as fast as possible and see what documents they are, Selena. But you need to get help from local counsel. Probably best somebody who knows your local office the best in that city. It's going to be hard for you to find who that lawyer is because they're not going to advertise. Everyone's going to say they're the best. But you got to work on that quick. The more time you don't fix the situation, at least try to deal with it, the longer it's potentially to fix it. And it's a mess right now. I'm sorry, Selena. Colin says, my husband was I-20A and filed for I-130. What do I have to watch out for? I'm not sure what you mean by I-20A. I don't know sorry, it's too hard to answer that question. I'm not sure what the question is. Masabi says, my husband is a citizen and I'm on F1 visa, non-STEM OPT. After that, I'll have to apply for STEM OPT because my ED expires. Please suggest, should I apply for EAD STEM during green card period? I mean, as long as your relationship is cool. And so if your husband's a citizen, you're probably going to get a green card pretty quickly if you did your case right. So I wouldn't bother. I can't give you advice. You're not my client. I don't know everything that's going on with your life, what school stuff is going on. I can't advise you. But I understand why you're asking the question, because if you have a green card marriage case with the U.S. is pending, if it's done correctly, that I don't know, but probably is, but I don't know. Then it's probably not going to be needed. But that's a longer discussion for individual advice. But those are the big contours of the things we're thinking about in that scenario. Talia says, you are the best. Can you expand if applying new I-130 hurts case if I'm waiting for an I-824 to be approved? No, we typically will file if clients can afford it. We recommend filing in these. Well, let me back it up to explain what people it is. So there are two scenarios where someone gets a green card in the United States and has a green card and they want to, that's not a backup. So they're wildly different scenarios, but they're kind of the same too. Let's say you get a green card based on work in the United States, EB category, and then your wife is living outside the United States. In that scenario, you have to file a form I-824 to move the remainder part of the case from the U.S. to the embassy to bring your wife here, or replace dependent, whoever it is. And in that scenario, this I-824, the file sucks, but it takes forever to do it, but you have to do it. And so sometimes it takes so long to do that we just say file an I-130, a marriage case instead. That was the case until like 6 months or a year ago, but then the line for green card holder marriage case got too long, so that's not as helpful as it used to be. But the other scenario is you file for a marriage case, like you're a U.S. citizen, you file for your spouse, and you mark the wrong box, and you say, I want to complete the case in the United States, even though it's supposed to go to the embassy. And what the government forces you to do, which is an abomination, it's disgusting, is you force you to file this form I-824, wait sometimes a year or two, and spend over $800, $900, how much of it is, to get the case sent to the embassy. It's a disaster, and We probably have the most amount of videos on YouTube about this topic. So we regularly every day get people calling us about the I-824 disaster. And it's very sad when I see it because it destroys people's lives. I had a consultation with a gentleman yesterday. The delays in the I-824 because he marked the wrong box. And I don't want to say destroy because people rise up and I'm sure he's going to do 10 times better. But it's a hit when you take because it caused the family to push back their plans to travel and get together a year. They were like, getting rid of property and investments. That went away. So just seeing this stuff in the government's I-824 nonsense, it just really frustrates me. Ideally, we'd have some political support, get rid of this I-824 and just have the USCIS send the case over. I don't think it should be that hard. They don't have to wait a year to do that. But this is the situation we're dealing with. So in your case, if you're a U.S. citizen, I would say file the I-130, do it anyways. If you're a green card holder, it's not going to make a much difference. That's it. Lauren Jarrett says, I have been very worried, so it shouldn't be worried, right? Lauren, I don't know your documents, so I can't say that. That's the thing. Like, I have to read stuff. It's kind of like calling a doctor. You're telling me you have a cough, but it's not too light. It was probably a cold. You're going to get better in a week. But, 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 may have some disease I don't know about. So until we do our checkups and review the documents and do the case, I can't say. But most likely, if you have joint sponsor and they have the documents, but most likely, the percentage-wise, the chance of success is really high. But not having seen it. And one thing is, people make mistakes on this paperwork. So the mistake is like they put the wrong number somewhere and it'll get fixed, but it adds 3, 6, 9 months to the case and delays to fix it. So when I see that stuff happen, it's kind of like, it's better to hire a lawyer. We just had someone who had a consultation, really want to hire us, but they're like, it's too expensive and stuff like that. Actually, they didn't say that. They said one spouse says too expensive. One spouse says, one spouse says I want to do it. The other said, sorry, I'm looking at my hair. It's getting all crazy. Sorry, distracting myself. I hate watching myself when doing these videos, but we got all these cameras on us and feedback. But nonetheless, he's like, it's a simple, I can do it myself. And I'm like, probably you can do most of yourself, but one mistake with the National Visa Center, especially like 2 years ago in Trump's time, that could add 9 months to your case messing up. So there's just a lot going on, but these things are expensive. So I understand. That's why I come out here, try to give the info out as much as I can. Jay Warren says, are tax transcripts and tax returns required for affidavit support? It depends on what kind of affidavit support you're doing and what basis it is. But let's say it's a typical one. So it could be one of the exceptions. We're not going to exceptions here. Disclaimer. Tax returns are required, the most recent one at the very least. However, when you're dealing with the U.S. embassies, nowadays they've come out and say we want tax transcripts. Or later on, when you want to file for citizenship, some USCIS officers will ask for tax transcripts. So to be safe, we just get those, and that's it. Because I don't know what they're going to ask. Now, I'm really sorry for people on Instagram and TikTok. We're getting such a good flow of questions on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to look down. Really quick, Kalina, about I-220A. I don't handle cases that have removal history or people are in deportation or whatever. So I'm not a good resource for that. We only handle like affirmative benefits with USCIS and National Visa Center or DOS primarily. Okay. ABS says I-485 is pending based on marriage. I-56. I mean, I think you work right. Is this safe travel overseas? I can't tell anybody if it's safe travel overseas. I don't have, that's not my decision as CBPs. So Kalina, if you're doing an I-130, I-228, you got to schedule consultation with office and talk with our associate who has more experience with removal in case with ICE and stuff. I never handled those, so I'm not a good source that. Eunice, hello. What about a fine from the court for not insuring the motorcycle will affect my visa during my life? Probably not. I mean, I have to see the court record, whatever it is, but I can't say without reading what you're convicted of and seeing the paperwork. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but different countries have different rules and how they claim things. So it's hard to, I can't say for sure. Laura Jabber says, I heard that they are giving people a DS. How long will that take? DS is duration of status for student visa holders, or it can mean DS 260, 160, the forms to the embassies. I don't know what you mean by your question. It's not clear. Monsavi says, my question is, if my green card is under process at the time, if my EAD expires, so am I eligible to do work, or are not eligible until I have a green card? Well, if you have a green card case pending, you can file for a work authorization C9 category and hopefully get it in time and continue working. So that's what you do. If you have a green card, you just get independent green card work authorization EAD while your case is pending. That's what you do. I'm not sure. Kalina says, will getting a medical marijuana card affect my chance of getting I-130 approved? It doesn't affect I-130 because they don't look into that for I-130, but for adjustment of status or consular processing, it is an inadmissibility issue. Drug use, if you've used drugs, is an inadmissibility issue. If you purchase drugs as trafficking, so that could be problematic. That's very problematic. It leads to bans. Omila says, I'm about to apply for naturalization next month. However, I had planned to travel coming in August. Will it be possible to reschedule appointment if needed, or should I apply once? They're pretty flexible about rescheduling stuff. Let's see. You're August, April, May, June. We had talked about it, but it's probably okay. But it's just future, what's going to happen in this or that, what they're going to do. Probably will be okay, but I don't know. It's just something you have to deal with. I can't really. It's up to the government how strict you want to be. It'll probably be okay though. Talia says, I'm a U.S. citizen now. It's 20 months and it's 21 months in Vermont. They haven't touched I-240 in 6 months. I'm willing to pay for new I-130 if it doesn't hurt my case at all. It won't hurt your case. It's just pay more money. And like ideally, you want to file the I-130 right when you do the I-240 because you just missed 6 months. Hopefully, I wish you had caught my video sooner about this. This I-240 is another person talking about it. I-240 is a disaster, unfortunately. Paul says, hello, good evening. Jen, thank you so much. You're welcome. Eunice, thank you. You're welcome. Maria says, good evening. My uncle overstayed his work visa. Can he fix his papers? I don't know. But you don't know everything about his life and what options he has. It's not something. It's not impossible, but that's just not enough information to give any advice on. Paul says, F1 category prior to 2016. When do you think? I don't know when they're going to schedule an interview. Lauren Jao says they are giving ADs in my home country, but I think it's background or something. Is this safe to travel? Oh, I don't know, Lauren. I'm not sure what you mean. Tony says safe travel in AP. I can't advise someone safe for travel. Like that's not up to me. Lulu says I have a green card along with I-130. What other forms should be filed when an adult child is present in the U.S. for 5 months? Lulu, you have to schedule a private consultation. That's very specific case advice. I need to know what's going on in the whole case. Bobby says I'm an IR1. Why Abu Dhabi is not processing anything? How long is it? Yeah, Abu Dhabi embassy immigrant visa processing is backed up years to a certain extent. So that sucks. That's just nothing more of that. Okay, so Musa, sorry getting to you now, but so are the best? Can you expand if applying my new I-130? Here's my case. I explained that multiple times, so you probably heard it. It's an old question. Can you apply I-485 without birth certificate? Not unless like there's a legal reason you don't have it. Joseph says how long it takes USCIS to make a decision. It's going to be whenever they get around to it. Can you apply for I-485 without your birth certificate? I asked that already. How long does it take? Okay, we got repeat questions. I understand. I haven't checked Instagram in 17 minutes. Sorry. Snap says, I've submitted my naturalization certificate in September 2023 for case change from F2A RER, but no response. What should I do? Yeah, you got to keep calling them. They don't update it properly. So you got to keep calling it. And they might give you a letter that says, oh, we know. And then it'll lag. That's one of the problems when you're switching from F2A to IR. That happens. It gets stuck in regular F2A line. My dad started on I-130 for me. Then I got married and had 2 kids. Now sent to NBC. Can I have my husband and kids? How long will it take? Well, if your dad was a citizen, potentially you'll have a case. But if he was a green card holder and you got married, your case is done. But then schedule consultation because then you got to see which category. You're probably going to be F3 category. You got to see where your priority date was. You got to look into it. Sorry, repeat on the I-485, the birth certificate. As I said, you have to have a birth certificate to get a green card. Unless there's a documented legal reason you don't have it that USCIS is going to accept or NBC, I'm sorry, the consular officer is going to accept, then no. So you got to figure out what to do with that. Good to see you. So, okay, so I'm going to switch off to TikTok. Got a lot of questions there to see. I am reading online. Timelines on USCIS.gov not reliable. Don't listen to them. Can you help on I-130 which applies since 2014, please? Out of schedule consultation, jqqlaw.com/contact so you can see what's going on. JJ says, I have an approved expedite, but still didn't get a schedule for an interview in Islamabad embassy 4 months ago. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just how it goes. Someone says, hi, what's my options for F1 visa? I'm not sure what you mean. You apply for F1 visa. I'm not sure what your options mean. Your question is not clear. So these kind of things, best to schedule a private consultation. Liz says, okay, so Bobby says, hi, I'm on IR1. Okay, answer that. Lauren says the whole process is stressful. Yeah, it is. It is, unfortunately. That's why people really hire us on these things. Omila says, I'm a green card holder, 18 months with my pending I-130 for my spouse, lives overseas. Will my case be sped up once I become a citizen? Yeah, it will be because F2A category that you're in, spouse of a green card holder, that's like, it jumped forward the line 9 months, but it's still like 3 years back. So, I was talking, there was another question on Instagram where someone said it. They became a citizen, notify the government. How are the government's not getting the message that you're a citizen now to switch up and speed up your case? So that issue does exist. Maria says he never returned back to Mexico after his second time coming to the United States to work. Maria, I need to know like straight out. I need to talk with him for like 30 minutes and review his immigration history and see his documents. This, unfortunately, is not a question I'm going to answer here. That's too big a topic that has to be analyzed individually and too private. Let's see, your video connection is bad. Sorry about that. Mom's tourist visa got rejected twice. How to mention this explain section on the forum. You just explained it was refused twice or denied for whatever reason. Can you help on I-130? It's plan 2014. Schedule a consultation. We'll see. We got to spend time talk with you, see what's going on. Lauren says, I had a lawyer and she said to me 22 tax is very good. Yeah, it's probably good. You just need to update the documents, lawyer, just for upkeep to show that it becomes real. So it's not a bad situation, but like I just got to see what's going on for myself. Someone says, what are the options for staying after being on F1 visa? Okay, so that makes more sense. Now, I have a long video. I was speaking with a Harvard International Student Organization, Salman. It's probably Salman, you guys. So this Salman or Salman's, I'm sorry, Persian names, I forget. But if you go to my YouTube page, F1 options, options for F1 and J1 students, Harvard or something like that. I have an hour I go into it, so it really is an hour conversation. But sky's the limit. But it depends on your background and what you're willing to do, and all that kind of stuff. So go to our YouTube page, JQK Law on YouTube, and just type in Harvard J1 or something like that. You'll find a long conversation about it. I go to schools and talk about this all the time. So I talk at USC about this. I record that too. So there's hours of information of me explaining the situation. Glenn said, if someone that works for a federal government has a spouse that's an undocumented immigrant, can the green card application be expedited? It depends on what you're doing as a government employee, what it is. Not just for being a government employee, but if you're going to be, sent overseas for something like that, maybe. It depends on what your background is and what you're doing. We just said that I submitted my family medical since December, still waiting. Yeah, there's no timeline when you send the medical and when you're going to get a decision. Most sometimes pretty quickly, but we have cases that go well. You're welcome, Simon. Appreciate it, bro. Salman or Salman, the picture's slow. I see him. Nowadays, I don't want to mention, but I hope I don't pronounce your name wrong. But okay, we got 10 minutes. We got some time. Let me try to go back to TikTok. I haven't checked in a while. JJ says, I have an approved. I don't know that one. My I-360 case, 40 months. What to do now? Might have to wait longer. I'm not sure. Glenn, what if you're a special agent for FBI? You have to have a reason why you need things to go faster. So if you're just a dude hanging out that has a government job, that doesn't make a difference. But if your government job needs you to go live in Malaysia for 6 years, they could expedite stuff. So there needs to be a reason, not just because you have pull and you could use your authority, like your badge or something. It's not a proper question. Come on, Glenn. We know that. Come on, what are you doing? But hey, it's worth a shot. Why not? You want to see your spouse faster, get this stuff going. Eunice says, a judge sends me a fine. Just ask me sooner if Eunice, I can't get this individual legal guidance unless it's probably okay, but unless I read the document myself and give an official opinion based on like checking all your background, I can't really say. Lauren says, I sent all the documents, all taxes, transcripts. Good luck. Adnan says, I applied for EAD 4 months ago, but so far I didn't receive it. Filing with adjustment of status. What do you think? It could be 1 month. It could be 9 months. It could be never really. So we never know. Most cases nowadays for EADs with the green card application are taking like 1 to 3 months, but we have cases that are still taking 9 months, a year, and nothing. So it's just not a reliable thing. You just don't know how it's going to work out. Fatez says, I updated my case after I got my citizenship at NBC. Is it going to delay my case? Not necessarily, but it could. You're just dealing with bureaucracy and government organizations that are dealing with thousands of cases. So when you make changes like that, hopefully they get it and they fix it up, but you never know. It is fall through the cracks sometimes. I've seen it happen many times. Now, the thing is, when these things happen, like people call me, so I see it all the time, but knowing statistically speaking, it's rare, but I just see it all the time. So it's on my radar. It's because of my unique position in the whole thing. Okay. All right. So we see a lot of people on TikTok going on YouTube, Instagram, ask questions. Not a bad idea because it's hard to answer your question on TikTok. So I appreciate that. My son is 22, and we entered 10 years ago with a visa. Are we eligible for a green card? Not based on that. We got to see what's going on in your case. That doesn't give any information for me to make a decision or give any advice. Can applying for diversity visa lottery in the past influence B2 visa? No. I mean, I can't say it can, but it shouldn't really. I haven't seen that be a problem. Is there any way I can contact the USCIS through email I-130? No. The online USCIS page sometimes give you some access, but there's no email they can send. H-2B visa, I got fired. What's next steps? You got to figure out a way to stay here if you want to, changing to student visa or other work visa or something like that. We got to look into that. Damn, why is my internet so bad right here on TikTok? Is it connecting with my old network? Oh, sorry, everyone on TikTok. My internet was bad for so long, and you're going to get cut off right now, that I finally realized it was my routers. So I just bought new routers break every year, and I got these nice looking Google ones that are so sharp looking, or Amazon or something like that. I just forgot that you have to replace these. It was like 3 years. My internet was cutting off left and right on these videos and driving me crazy. And so I just got new routers. I'm like, oh, that was that reason. Okay, it was the router. So the internet company was right. I kept yelling at them, saying that you guys, the internet sucks. But so far the router's been good, except I have an old system it reverts back to, and it slows things down there too. But for the most part, we're okay. All right, so we got a couple more minutes. What's the updated form for the I-134? I'm not sure what you mean. If you're doing a fiance visa in the I-134, if you're doing a marriage case, you don't need that. Glenn says, are there any ways to expedite a green card application? Just not. You could always call the government and request an expedite, but you have to have a reason because there's a million other people in the same position as you. Literally, I'm even facetious. So it's like, they're waiting too. What is there special about your case that requires that? For adjustment of status, it's very difficult to make that argument. But if they're here, you're living together. But I know I had cases where like the person was in Pakistan, for example, and they changed from one religious sect to another, and everyone in the village wanted to kill them. So we told the government that, and they expedited it. So, another case, these kind of scenarios come up, like, yeah, we could do it. But just because it's unfortunately just too many people in line for the same thing. Bonnie says, Lauren, it's the latest form, I-134. That's the FAA support for K1 visa at the embassy. That's what that is. Bonnie, I don't know. Lauren, the latest form means the latest version of the form. They update these forms all the time. Bonnie says, can I expedite my VAL application based on marriage I-485 to U.S. citizen by joining the military? We got to see what's going on in your case, because if you remarried, that could be problematic. You maybe just want to file a new green card case. If you have an I-485 pending, you can switch it to your spouse's I-130. And you, depending on joining the military itself, won't speed up your case per se. But if you need to move and travel for it, maybe. So I don't know what's going to happen in that case. But Bonnie, we do free chats. It's not a full consultation, a half consultation with military service members. And usually it comes a full consultation anyways. But if you contact us with your spouse, email us and send evidence of being in the service, we could have a free consultation on that to kind of figure out what's going on and give you some advice there. So I'll do that. All right, so we got 2 or 3 more minutes. Let me go on Instagram, see what's going on there. Shadow says, I have a minor U.S. citizen child, and I'm on a B1B2 visa. Could I apply for EAD to support my child in the IS? You can always apply for EADs. Really don't have a basis. You got to file like a special EAD for a thing, but on a B1B2, not really. There may be exceptions. I don't handle exceptions like that. I mean, your child's a citizen, but you have your home country to go to. They just say, go back and take your child with you. That's the impression that they have on it. That's really it. There could be some exceptions based on your circumstances, what background you are. Who knows? You might be Ukrainian. There's TPS programs for Ukraine. You might be Yemenis. There's TPS programs for that. So it really depends on what's going on. All right, let's go back to TikTok. Hi, do you think that EB3 other worker will become? I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Do you think there are attorneys that can fight 204C? You can fight it. It's very difficult, but you can fight it. We don't do that at our office, but there's attorneys that can try it out. Lena says, can I apply for a temporary work visa while I'm waiting for my U.S. spousal green card to get approved? Yeah, that's called the C9 EAD. That's something you should have done with the green card application form I-45. And unfortunately, now there's an extra fee of like $600 or $700 for that as of April 1st. So that's one of the reasons you probably would have saved money by hiring an attorney, because you would have started working and saved the filing fee money too. But live and learn. You could file for that work permit, pay it, and see what happens. I-485 expedite request was approved 4 months ago. Can I file for a writ of mandamus now? I don't know if your I-485 expedite is approved, and I'm not sure why. It was approved, but nothing happened. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I can't answer that. Shawnee says I-485 concurrent filing check was made payable to USCIS instead of DH. Is that an issue? Technically it is, but I always see those checks go. When people file on their own, they think they're supposed to file to USCIS instead of writing the Department of Homeland Security, the full name, not just DHS. So, I mean, as office procedure, we always follow Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Department of Homeland Security. But I see clients in the past who've had stuff, we get their records, they filed USCIS. They usually just let it go, but, the bank could say no, it's possible. TPS for Ethiopia, I think that was announced today. Dolly says, can you file for a family member if you are a green card holder but a criminal case going on? Depends on what the criminal case is. If it's for like molesting a child, then that could be problematic. I-61 waiver RFE, how long? I don't have timelines. Okay, so I'm going to take one more. Glenn says, if someone gets detained by ICE and there's already an application being processed, can that be used to get out? It depends on why they were detained by ICE. If they're for criminal history, no. If they had a previous removal or they have the subject to the permanent bar. So just saying someone got ICE, it doesn't tell me enough information of why they got, why you got their ICE or what's going on. So I can't answer that. Peggy says, would you reckon doing a K1 visa or getting married? I don't know what's good in your case, Peggy. 9 out of 10 times our office does marriage cases as opposed to fiancé visas. Fiancé visas is usually a waste of money, but you might have an exception. Your case is different, so I can't say for sure. Download our guide first, Peggy, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's a 40-plus page guide that goes through the marriage, immigration, and fiancé process. It's what all you need. Even if you're not doing a marriage case, it overlaps with chunks of the other immigration system. Download the guide, read that so you have an idea of how these things are going on. It's going to help a lot. And then schedule a consultation if you like and talk to the intake specialist or something like that. Miss Success says, how to move case from Alaska to Pennsylvania. If you move addresses, you let the government know. New Life says, mom's tourist visa was rejected. Just tell them it was rejected and refused under 214B probably, whatever the reason was. The expedite request for I-485 was approved. The I-485 was not itself. I don't know what to tell you if they have kids. You can file a lawsuit if you want. I would maybe keep calling them first or have a congressperson help. I don't know. Glenn says, from being rated for being undocumented. Glenn, it just depends on the background. Did they enter lawfully with admission or not? Are they already in removal proceedings or not? Why would they do a raid? They don't do much raids nowadays. So what was going on? What was the background work? I can't really say, Glenn. It's too case specific. You need to talk to the attorney in private. Okay, that's about it for today. I'll have to leave it there. Thank you all for joining. If you want to connect with us first, even for thinking about a consultation, just go to our contact us page, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill out our short things so we have an idea what your case is, and we'll respond with maybe some guidance, or maybe let you know we don't do that case or whatever. That's the best place to go to, jqqlaw.com/contact. With that said, God bless, be safe. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.